The day Emma's heart broke forever was not stormy, as one might expect in stories of heartbreak. It was bright and beautiful, with golden sunlight streaming through the city skyline, the kind of day that made the world look full of promise. But for Emma, the promise of that day shattered into pieces she thought she could never put back together. For 10 long years, she had loved Daniel Whitmore with a devotion that shaped her entire life. She had believed that one day, he would see her not as a friend or a shadow but as the woman who had always been there for him. 10 years of waiting, dreaming, sacrificing, and all of it was crushed in a single evening that would forever change her. Emma's story began in a quiet neighborhood where houses were small but hearts were big. Her father was a carpenter with hands rough from years of work but eyes that always softened when they looked at his daughter. Her mother was a school librarian, a woman who believed that books carried the answers to every problem in the world. Their lives were modest, filled with love but not luxury, and Emma grew up understanding that happiness was not about wealth but about the warmth of family. Next door lived Daniel, the boy who would unknowingly claim her heart for the next decade. His family was nothing like hers. The Whitmores were wealthy, owning several businesses in the city. Daniel's father was strict and proud, often making remarks that reminded Emma's family of their lower status. But Daniel himself seemed different. As children, he was the boy who climbed trees with her, who lent her his comic books, who defended her when bullies mocked her simple clothes. Emma grew up believing Daniel was her protector, her partner in every childhood adventure, the boy whose smile could light up the darkest of days. By the time Emma reached her teenage years, her feelings had deepened into something much more. She loved him quietly, secretly, holding on to the belief that one day he would notice the devotion written in her every action. She remembered his favorite foods and would bake his favorite muffins on his birthday. She stayed up late helping him study for exams, even when she had her own responsibilities. She celebrated his victories as though they were her own. She never confessed in words, but her love lived in every small gesture. She thought Daniel knew, and she thought, deep down, he might feel the same. But Daniel never voiced such feelings. To him, Emma was the dependable friend, the safe place he could always return to. He leaned on her loyalty but never imagined a future with her. He treated her as if she would always be there, waiting, no matter what. And Emma waited. For 10 years, she carried her love like a flame that burned quietly but fiercely inside her. Through college, through her first job, through the nights she spent helping her parents with their debts, Daniel was the dream she never let go of. Then came the night everything changed. Daniel invited Emma to a grand party at one of the city's most luxurious hotels. Emma's heart soared at the thought. She saved up for weeks to buy a simple but elegant dress, hoping maybe, just maybe, this was the night he would finally confess his feelings. She told herself stories of how he might hold her hand, how he might tell her that he had loved her all along. The ballroom was magnificent that evening, filled with glittering chandeliers, clinking glasses, and the sound of laughter echoing off marble floors. Emma stayed close to Daniel, her heart racing with anticipation. But as the music softened and Daniel stepped onto the stage, microphone in hand, the world shifted. He announced his engagement, not to Emma, but to Vanessa Sinclair, the stunning daughter of one of the wealthiest families in the country. The crowd erupted in cheers as Vanessa joined him on stage, her beauty flawless in a sparkling gown. Daniel kissed her passionately under the lights, his eyes filled with pride and love. Emma's heart shattered in that instant. She clapped with the others, her hands trembling, her face stretched into a smile that barely held back the flood of tears. Inside, she felt like her very soul was being torn apart. Later, Daniel found her standing quietly in a corner, trying to hold herself together. He placed a hand on her shoulder and spoke words that cut deeper than any knife. "Emma, you're important to me, but Vanessa is my future. You understand, right? Important." That was all she was to him after 10 years of love. Not chosen, not loved, just important. Emma returned home that night and cried until dawn. For weeks she could barely function. Food lost its taste, the world lost its color, and her job was slipping away because she could no longer focus. She had given 10 years of her life to a dream, and in one night, it crumbled to dust. She asked herself over and over if she had wasted her youth, if she had been blind to the truth that Daniel never truly loved her. But Emma was not one to remain broken forever. Her parents' voices echoed in her heart. Her mother had always said, "You cannot control how others love you, but you can control how you love yourself." Slowly, painfully, Emma began to rise again. She threw herself into work, staying late, learning new skills, and pushing herself to become indispensable. Her boss, who once threatened to fire her, began to notice her dedication. Within a year, she was promoted, her reports becoming the foundation for important business decisions. Emma also turned her attention inward. She joined a gym, not for anyone else, but to rebuild her strength. She began painting again, finding in colors and brushes the expression of emotions too heavy to carry silently. She reconnected with old friends she had ignored while chasing Daniel's shadow. Piece by piece, Emma rebuilt herself. And the more she grew, the more radiant she became. People began to see her not as the girl waiting in the background but as a woman of quiet strength and grace. It was during this time that Adrian Cole entered her life. He was a man the world admired and feared, the CEO of a multinational empire, known for his ruthless business strategies and unshakable power. Emma first met him at a charity gala where she had been assigned to handle logistics. She expected him to be distant, perhaps arrogant. But instead, when Adrian spoke to her, he asked questions that surprised her. He wanted to know about her work, her dreams, her life beyond the gala. He listened with an attentiveness that Daniel never had. From that night on, Adrian seemed to notice her everywhere. He sent her books he thought she might enjoy, remembered small details from their conversations, and encouraged her to chase opportunities she had never thought possible. Emma, still wounded from the past, resisted at first. She found it hard to believe that a man like Adrian, wealthy, powerful, admired by millions, could truly be interested in someone like her. But Adrian was patient, consistent, and unwavering. "I don't see you as ordinary, Emma," he told her once, his gaze steady and sincere. "I see the fire in you. I see the woman who turned pain into strength. I see the woman I want by my side." As Emma began to trust him, she discovered a love unlike anything she had known before. Adrian's love was not about convenience or appearances. It was about seeing her, valuing her, cherishing her for exactly who she was. With him, she felt safe, respected, and adored. But life has a way of testing every new beginning. Just as Emma's heart was healing, and her relationship with Adrian was blossoming, Daniel returned. His engagement to Vanessa had crumbled in scandal, leaving him broken and desperate. One rainy evening, he appeared at Emma's door, drenched and pleading. "Emma," he said, his voice trembling, "I made a mistake. Vanessa was never real. You are. You've always been. Please, give me another chance." The sight of him tore open old wounds. For a moment, Emma felt the pull of the past, the boy she had loved for 10 years, the man she had once imagined as her forever. Memories of laughter, of long conversations, of dreams unspoken filled her heart. Part of her wanted to fall into his arms, to believe that the love she had waited for was finally here. But then she remembered the night he announced his engagement. She remembered the way he had dismissed her love as something convenient, the way he had said Vanessa was his future while calling Emma merely important. She remembered the nights she cried alone while he celebrated with another woman. And she thought of Adrian, the man who had chosen her when she had nothing to offer but herself, the man who valued her strength and not just her loyalty. With tears in her eyes but strength in her voice, Emma told Daniel, "I loved you for 10 years. 10 years I can never take back. But you broke me when you chose power over love. I will not let you break me again. Goodbye, Daniel." She closed the door on him, her heart heavy but free. For the first time, she felt the weight of 10 years lift from her shoulders. She cried that night, but her tears were not of regret. They were tears of release, of finally letting go of a love that had never truly been hers. With Adrian by her side, Emma's life transformed. She rose in her career, eventually starting her own consulting firm, where her brilliance and resilience earned her respect across the industry. At social events, she was no longer the girl waiting at the edges of the room. She walked in hand with Adrian Cole, radiant with confidence and dignity. She was admired not just as the partner of a powerful man, but as a powerful woman in her own right. One evening, at a grand event, she saw Daniel across the room. He looked older, wearier, his eyes carrying the regret of choices made too late. He watched her with a gaze filled with longing and sorrow as she stood beside Adrian, her laughter echoing through the hall. Emma did not look at him with anger or bitterness. She looked at him with peace. Because she had finally closed that chapter of her life, and she no longer needed his love to feel complete. Emma's story was never just about finding love again. It was about finding herself. It was about learning that sometimes the people you love most will break your heart, but that does not mean you are unworthy of love. It means life is clearing the way for something better, something truer. She had loved Daniel for 10 years, and he had crushed her heart. But in losing him, she had discovered her own strength. And when she finally stood tall on her own, the world saw her worth. Adrienne Cole saw her worth and cherished her like she had always deserved. Her journey became an unspoken lesson to everyone around her, that your value is never defined by who chooses you or rejects you. Your value lies in how you rise after being broken, in how you love yourself even when others fail to. And when you finally see your own worth, the world has no choice but to see it too. Emma's life became a testament to resilience. Once a girl who lived in the shadows of unrequited love, she became a woman worshipped by a man powerful not only in wealth but in the way he valued her. And most importantly, she became a woman who no longer measured her worth by the love of another, but by the strength of her own heart.